Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Your Honor.
Good afternoon. Ms. Clifton, when you're ready.
Okay, you're welcome. Let me start this. This is case number 23003-194 in F Michigan Pain Management PLLC, Kahari Wright versus Allstate Insurance Company.
Counsel appearances for the record.
Good afternoon, Your Honor. Alicia Rubin appearing on behalf of plaintiff.
Good afternoon, Your Honor. Alana Botha appearing on behalf of defendant.
Okay, and this is Allstate's motion for summary disposition. One thing, and I didn't see it. I know this is referencing Kahari Wright's claim, but was Kahari Wright's claim specifically enumerated in the federal action?
Kahari Wright's claim is not specifically enumerated in the federal action. It's Allstate's position that the claims are inherently the same in both actions, in the sense that the treatment and the services that plaintiff allegedly provided to Kahari Wright are encompassed by Allstate's request for relief in that federal action, since those services involve that same pattern of fraudulent conduct that's alleged throughout Allstate's complaint in the federal action. But nowhere in that complaint is Kahari Wright's name specifically listed.
Right, but don't they generally have the claimants that are covered in the action?
I don't believe that they do. I know that
generally they do. I said this isn't the first time I've had a situation where a provider is being sued in federal court, and generally they have, I know you gave me your file that you submitted to federal court, all the documents. But generally speaking, what happens is that if, I'm more inclined to grant relief if, in fact, that claimant is one of the claims that is represented by the action in federal court. And I don't know what time frame, I remember what time frame you all are utilizing in the federal case, and what time frame are you using?
In the federal action, I quite frankly am not familiar with it. The only information that I have on it is that the litigation is ongoing. I certainly would be able to seek specifics from the claim representative or the individual who's responsible for litigating that suit, but I personally don't have that right now.
Okay, now what are the services that you're saying were provided to Kahari, or what again? The ones that are covered in the federal action?
So what's covered in the federal action is a pattern of fraudulent billing and conduct.
And
specifically, Michigan Pain Management frequently bills Allstate for medical services like injections, patient evaluations, surgeries that did not actually occur.
Okay, so what are we talking about? What services are you talking about? That's what I'm saying. We got to equate the two together. So what specifically are you equating to I understand fraud, and then oftentimes it goes for there's a settlement, and then all claims that were the rise to that level are included, but where's the connection? Just you can't make that generalization. I need that connection.
So, I mean, as the services that are set forth here are covered under Allstate's action, because quite frankly, we're dealing with inherently the same issues. It's plaintiff's general practice, and it's Allstate's position that resolution reached at the federal level will be dispositive of the issues in this suit, in the sense that it will decide whether the issues in this matter are compensable under the No Fault Act.
But what generally has to happen, and like I said, I don't have all, and I didn't go through all of the documents. Generally, what happens is if Allstate and State Farm generally will list all the claims that are at issue in the federal action. You just can't say all be all the catch-all, and then if you have a settlement, fine. But if this claim hasn't been included, you just can't arbitrarily say, okay, we want this. You throw everything against the wall and see what sticks. And that's what it sounds like you're doing, because like I said, my first question was, is Mr. Wright's claim included? And if Mr. Wright's claim was included, fine. Because like I said, this isn't my first rodeo with an insurance company filing a claim against a provider in federal court. And generally speaking, if they do, all the claims that they're raising are listed. And you told me Mr. Wright's claim isn't listed. You know, and and you didn't answer my question. What services are you claiming that were the basis of fraud that should be considered, even though they're not listed in a federal action?
It's plaintiff's general practice of fraudulently billing Allstate that's being
That's not
investigated.
enough. That's not enough. That's not enough. That's not enough. What are you saying? Why should I grant your summary disposition as to the services that they provided to Mr. Wright? You need to tell me what it is. I don't. And like I said, because your motion was even full. I'm not disparaging, but we're full of generalities. Like I said, if you told me specifically that Mr. Wright's claim is one that's being pursued in federal court on page blah, 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 and all the claims, I would say, fine, granted. And I've done that before, but you're just giving me generalities here.
Quite frankly, I can only rely on what's, I apologize.
I need specifics. I can't. You're relying on what again?
I can only rely on what is specifically stated in the complaint and what's in our motion. And what is in our motion and what is alleged and the relief requested at the federal level is to investigate and resolve the fraudulent practices or purported fraudulent practices on behalf of plaintiff.
Okay, but what I'm saying is, maybe you need to talk to your claims representative, because if Mr. Wright's claim is not part of that lawsuit, I'm not granting your motion for summary disposition. I'm telling you, this is not my first time dealing with a federal action against a provider. And if his claims were in there, I'd grant it. But if you're bringing me all these generalities, you know, based on, you're asking me to throw it up against the wall and see what sticks. That's what you're doing, because you don't have the specifics as it relates to Mr. Wright's claim. What claims are you saying was fraudulent? You just can't say everything's fraudulent. If this has happened before, they get sued, they have to pay or whatever, they reach a resolution, fine. But Mr. Wright's claims aren't even included. You're trying to have me deal with generalities. And based on that, I'm prepared to dismiss the motion, deny the motion for summary disposition, because you haven't told me anything and I'm giving you the opportunity. What claims are you relying on that fall within this practice? What are you saying? What services were rendered to Mr. Wright that you're saying were the basis of fraudulent practice?
Your Honor, I don't have the answer that you're looking for. I don't have the specifics that you are looking for. If this court is not inclined to grant a dismissal, Allstate is asking for a stay of proceedings to be put in place in the interest and to promote judicial economy. Again, as Allstate believes that this RICO action will resolve whether the services that are at issue in the instant matter are compensable. In the alternative, if the court would like to adjourn this motion for summary disposition, I can reach out to the claim rep and the individual that's responsible for heading the federal litigation, and I can file a supplemental brief if those specifics are provided.
Ms. Rubin.
Thank you, Your Honor. I know you've read my response, and I do appreciate that the court understands that this is a practice, especially with Allstate. Just for the record, I wanted to state that it is not my client's practice to bill for things as a general practice, to bill for things that aren't done. That is just not true. I've represented this client for almost 10 years. Setting all of that aside, I agree, obviously, that the motion for summary disposition should not be granted. However, with respect to the stay that they're asking for, although I filed a response opposing it, it may make sense for the court to put the stay in place right now and to revisit the issue later if necessary, as opposed to having to dismiss the case and refile later.
Right, because like I said, this isn't my first time dealing with this, and I don't have a problem granting summary disposition if the claims are included. But there's no evidence that this claim is included, and just out of generality purposes, just because you filed it, you have to be able to articulate what claims it is that against what client or what person or claimant that we're dealing with, because I'm telling you, I perused it was probably about 4 or 5 inch thick document, and I saw that there were a whole list of what are those things? UD10s, are those called UD10s? There were a bunch of UD10s attached. There were printouts and logs of claims and claim individuals. But like I said, that's why I asked, was Mr. Wright in there? If Mr. Wright was in there, I said, okay, fine, we're granted. But see, I don't know if they're going to include this claim of Mr. Wright in the settlement. They may or they may not. So at this juncture, I'm not granting the motion for summary disposition, because there are situations where Allstate will say, okay, well, no, that's not included. And if that's not included, they still have a viable claim. So that, Ms. Buffer, that's just for your edification. And I don't know who the claim adjuster is, but like I said, this isn't the first time I've seen this. And, I can't just summarily dismiss this to discredit the plaintiff when they might have a viable claim and it's not included in the RICO action at this time. So,
I can appreciate that, Your Honor.
I will grant the stay. So you need to, the motion for summary disposition is denied, but I will grant the stay. So present an order denying the motion and granting the stay.
Your Honor, would you like me to put a time period for which we have to come back and review the stay, or would the court prefer that either party?
We'll put a review date. Miss Clifton is very good for that. She'll put a review date on this, probably about, probably not. When was this action filed?
This one was in March.
Yeah, and the RICO was filed in September.
Well, I have Miss Clifton, and she's listening. She'll put a review date in September. She'll send you guys an email and ask for an update. And of course, the onus is upon you all. If it's resolved, I don't know how long it's going to take to resolve this one, but the onus is upon you all to reach out to us and let us know status. But Miss Clifton will also put a review date for September. But as soon as you find something, so Ms. Buff, I'll look for an order denying the summary disposition but granting the stay.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. Have a good day.
Are we off the record yet?
Wait, just 1 second.